Hi, I'm Rachel Minafuku.
I'm Jacob Balo.
I'm Anthony Cardinal.
I'm Mimi Hirakawa.
And we're talking about media's psychological effects. So our thesis is that media has portrayed unrealistic and unattainable expectations, which has led to a lot of negative psychological effects.
So before we begin, we want to define a couple of these words that could possibly be thought of as something else. So first of all, we have media, and we want to define media as basically a visual medium, and some examples of it are magazines, as we picture here, and there are also other advertisements, such as this very muscular Abercrombie and Fitch model that I wish I was, and other things such as toys and television shows, advertisements on television, magazines, billboards, etc.
And our group recognized that media has detrimental effects on both genders' concept of body image, making it a topic for all the stakeholders that we'll be covering in our presentation. So we thought that we needed to solidify a clear meaning of what body image meant for us. And we decided that the definition of body image is the subjective view of how a person perceives their own physique and how they think others may perceive it as well.
So my stakeholder was children. And so first of all, advertisements, kids are always being exposed to advertisements, whether it be on television, watching commercials, or just looking at magazines. The dangerous part about this is that children aren't mature enough to realize that a lot of these models and actresses are photoshopped images, and they don't actually look like that in real life. And this causes kids to have bad expectations for what society thinks that the ideal body image should be. And this is proven to have detrimental effects on them psychologically. A study showed that 42% of girls ages 6 to 10 wish that they were thinner. And our group actually conducted a survey with college students, and 41% of them said that when they were a child, weight was a concern to them. So that just kind of shows how accurate the statistic was. And also Disney. Disney is something that we overlook because it's childhood memories are associated with them, and it's also associated with innocence. But we don't realize that these movies could be sending negative messages. So as you can see here, the princesses are all slim, and they have perfect hair, flawless skin, and the princes are also given big muscles and a chiseled jaw. So the kids are associating these good character traits with these good physical traits, whereas the villains are usually given more unappealing characteristics physically, like Cinderella's stepsisters. So this causes them to associate bad personality flaws with bad physical appearances. And also toys, I wanted to highlight Barbie, because a lot of the toys, such as Barbie, send the wrong messages to children that society expects people to look like these toys. In the 1960s, the Mattel company that owns Barbie came out with Slumber Party Barbie, and it came with a scale that was set to 110 pounds. And it also came with a book that said how to lose weight, and the first page said don't eat. So this is just negatively influencing children to think that society expects them to be, skinny for girls, and for guys, they want them to look like these action figures that are all tough and big muscles.
So I'm going to be covering adolescent males. And when many of us reflect upon how society is affected by media in general, we often jump to the ideas of Barbie dolls, magazines, models. And us jumping to that concept signifies how big of an influence media has on our instinctive thoughts. The social norms that we have are circulated through the media, making it the backbone of the knowledge we have about our culture. The encouraging and supportive side of the media tends to focus on how society influences females, when males are affected by media's unrealistic and unattainable social expectations just as much as females are. Through comprehensive research, I have inferred that the media encourages adolescent boys to form a false sense of masculinity. They should not be forced to squeeze into the conventional standards for men, but rather be encouraged to embrace their uniqueness and base the degree of their masculinity through more reasonable means. Smolek and Stein, who are psychologists, recognize that many middle schoolers are prematurely attempting to build muscular size and strength. They stated, "It is now broadly accepted that boys and men suffer from body image problems that include desires to be larger and more muscular. Furthermore, due to the media associating social rewards with the muscular physique, it has become the paradigm body type. For the younger audience, the media uses superheroes and action figures to portray the physically and mentally strong man who saves the day and is adored by everyone. An example of this is Superman. He plays huge roles in many movies and comics, and his action figures are sold all around the country. And the promotion of a man with nearly unachievable muscular body types and being portrayed as the protagonist encourages adolescents to attain an identical musculature through activities such as excessive weightlifting. And for the older adolescent males, the example of a media associating social rewards with this muscle size is when advertisements display a man trying to ask a girl on a date, but she blatantly disregards him. But when he uses the strength-building product that the company is promoting and attains a muscular stature, he then confronts the girl again, and she instantly falls head over heels for him. Having said that, exercise is healthy for adolescents, but excessive weight training to achieve the body type that corresponds to these advertisement and action figures is quite dangerous. Weightlifting immoderately or incorrectly may lead to injuries such as muscle tears and stress fractures. Also, using illegal substances such as anabolic steroids may be beneficial when observing one's exterior, but they are known to decrease sperm count in males, cause heart attacks, and trigger yellowing of the skin. So if there are various adverse effects attached to the ideal male body type, why are we so urged to measure masculinity by size of the muscles? We should be urging adolescent males to quantify their manliness through more principled and rationalized standards, such as integrity and righteousness. And within the last decade, media has become extremely uncensored. And this is an issue because the typical adolescent interacts with media all day long. They wake up to the radio, they talk to their friends at school about their favorite TV shows, they look through magazines after school, and then they end up going back to the TV and flipping through their favorite channels. According to psychologists Berzeman, Bordeaux, Fisher, and Group, adolescents who had no vaginal sex experience watch significantly fewer hours of music videos, premium cable, adult cable, and sexually suggestive broadcast television shows than adolescents who reported being in a casual partnership at last vaginal intercourse. This statement affirms the Journal of Sex's research notion of the media influencing adolescents through at minimum 3 methods: by keeping social conduct on communal and private agendas, fortifying steady romantic and sexual standards, and rarely incorporating examples of sexual relations. Furthermore, students who were exposed to about 5 hours of sexually explicit films over 6 weeks were more likely than a control group to express increased callousness towards women and trivialize rape as a criminal offense. Boys who feel the need to blend in with the rest of the crowd by partaking in sexual relations is them trying to comply with what the media and their peers instruct them to do. And in this case, media instructs the adolescent males to treat sex and the people they choose to have sexual relations with less thoughtfully, because that is the masculine thing to do in today's day and age. And through acting this way, they gain positive reaction from their fellow male peers, and that makes their impulsive actions seem correct. As a result, the media is thought to be one of the main contributors to the increasing levels of hasty, sexually active male adolescents. And this leads to significant issues such as teenage pregnancy and sexually transmitted diseases.
So, coming back to what I originally said in the beginning, where I said that I wished I wanted to have the body of an an Abercrombie and Fitch model, that is not good. That's another one of the reasons why this idea of beauty has become integrated within the society. And if I was to say something like, considering that I said that, an adolescent male, adolescent females are also a part of this as well. So the media has created a realm where the women are expected to look skinny in unnatural ways, and in doing this, the media has led to lower self-esteem and possible eating disorders within many women, especially teenagers, and even the queen, which is quite interesting. I never noticed that. So, in advertisements, TV shows, magazines, billboards, and more, the media cleverly uses models in order to grab the attention of the viewer. While some of them may be celebrities, they still, through their bodies, emphasize a certain thinness that correlates with success in their minds. Now, as Rachel had stated, we did a survey among LMU college students, and we taken and analyzed the data, and we found that a majority, or 59.18%, of LMU college students only watched 1 to 3 hours of television. But even though you may think that's not that much, we have found studies that have proven otherwise. In a study by professors Yuko Yamamiya, Thomas Cash, Susan Mellink, Heidi Posavac, and Stephen Posavac, they found that only 5 minutes of exposure to thin models within advertisements or television can result in a notable impact on body image in adolescent women. This illustrates that the fact that even a small amount of media exposure can have negative side effects. So considering this, adolescent women can internalize these false pretenses of beauty and can lead to lower self-esteem in their body if their bodies do not meet these high standards. So these drops in self-esteem can result in drastic actions taken in order to reach these unnatural levels of thinness. So many times dieting and heavy exercise is used, and while sometimes this may be healthy, if taken to extremes, they could lead to nutrition deficiencies, which is very bad. And some women also force themselves to resort to anorexic or bulimic actions, leading to dangerous eating disorders. So psychology professors Shelley Grabe, Monique Ward, and Janet Shibley Hyde conducted a study on the relationship between body image and eating disorders, and they found that those who have been influenced negatively by the media's concept of beauty were more likely to develop eating disorders such as anorexia nervosa or bulimia nervosa. Another interesting fact is that the most prevalent example of all of these eating disorders and lowering self-esteem isn't actually a part of the society, but more centered around the modeling industry. So many models are teenagers, sometimes early preteens too, and their job forces them to maintain a dangerously thin physique. Considering the job is incredibly unpredictable, with models mainly living off paychecks in order received by each photo shoot, they must maintain their bodies thin stature in order to have job security and to have future photo shoots planned for them. So models and even celebrities, they're well known to succumb to the pressures of media in order to succeed, thus indirectly portraying thinness and physical beauty as imperative to happiness and achievement. So with such an emphasis on thin physique, it's important for a shift towards integrity and intangible inner qualities as an emphasis in the media in order to help take away this physical aspect of beauty and to make it more inner. And if not, the effects of the media and their false identity of beauty could continue to haunt the person well into adulthood.
My stakeholder was older females. This is a group of women that are highly susceptible to fall into this issue with their body image. Being older, these women worry about wrinkles, lines, and gray hair. These women go to great lengths to be young and to maintain what youth they have. Women look at the cover of Vogue or Elle and are constantly reminded of the new face of this new makeup company, and they're always reminded that that's what's beautiful. For young girls, it's body image and being thin and being a supermodel, while for older women, it's to maintain and preserve what youth they have and to become, you know, what they were at 30 when they're now 55. Many programs on TV glorify the effect of going under plastic surgery or going under the knife, like it's very casual and like nothing about it. Programs on the channel E or Bravo have women under 55 getting Botox or nip and tuck or some lipo done, and it's like very casual. But to be honest, Botox is a neuropoison, neurotoxic type liquid that when it enters the nerve, it paralyzes it. So if you have a wrinkle over it, you wouldn't have it because you won't be able to move that part of your face again. And a liposuction is a procedure where a hollow rod is implanted into any part of your body, and sometimes when it's done in the abdomen incorrectly, when the surgeon penetrates your stomach, it can go into an organ and you can bleed to death while you're in the operation, even afterwards. Many women have died in both of these luxury procedures, either the Botox mainly, and sometimes these women fall into relationships with men that are younger, but sometimes these relationships aren't really strong due to the man wanting to go after her money, and the woman has this cougar effect, if that's like the pop culture type of way of describing it. A program a few years ago called Nip Tuck was a drama. The other shows I mentioned were reality shows. This was a drama focused on becoming plastic, where women would go in for breast augmentation, lipo, Botox, rhinoplasty, facelift, tummy tuck, or bone reformation. It was a program that focused mainly on the medical and romantic parts of their lives. But why do women go through all this operations when sometimes they can become unhappy? Either they're obsessed with how ugly they are, and they won't be happy until they get another operation. It's sickening how sometimes these women can fall into like body dysmorphia, which is an issue where they do something and they're just not happy and they have to go back and do it. It's like they're cracked, like they're fixed. They won't be happy until they do it again. Like a woman in Beverly Hills many months ago last year, she had an operation and she climbed to the top of the building and threw herself off. And she had just had an operation done by a plastic surgeon who caters to celebrities. Why would you think she'd do that? Was she suicidal? There was no antecedents of her having any suicidal thoughts. Maybe she had an operation done and she felt she couldn't go back on it. Sometimes taking off a bone from your face is not like something that you can go back. Just put the bone back on. It's something that is permanent. Rhinoplasty is where they take bones out of your nose and reform it to what you want it to look like. They try to go for this mademoiselle look, like on Chanel, and trying to act like they are 25, but they're actually 50. You need to actually accept that they have to not fall into that, because being older, their system is a lot more delicate than it was for a younger woman. And for example, eye drip or crooked eyebrow is something that is less horrible than what I mentioned about the main line. And the fat embolisms, or internal puncture, fat embolism is like where a piece of the fat that was worked on would dislodge and travel around. That's not very healthy. There's also another woman who's known as a cat lady in Hollywood or in the world of the celebrities, where she spent approximately $4 million to get her face done because she had an ex-husband who was fascinated with big cats, tigers, lions, and he wanted her to look like that. She was attractive as a young woman, but when she did all that, she looked extremely horrific. She looked plastic. She looked like she was, fake, like a lion. That's what she got. It's understandable if a woman, for example, has a problem and she needs to get something done on her face, but when she does it out of wanting to look younger, it can go on the morality of it. You start to have to question what she values. And many doctors, for example, when these women go in on the reality shows, they say, "Oh, once you get after the rhinoplasty, why don't you get a tummy tuck or some fat reduction in the thighs?" The only reason why they motivate that is not because they're interested in what she asks and what she has. They know what they're doing is not 100% necessary, but they're doing it because it's in their best interest to have more clients. Any doctor, they won't be able to feed their family if they won't operate on anyone else. So that's what I'd say.
Well, this is more data from the survey that we conducted with LMU students. So the first question we asked was, if given the option, would you change something about your physical appearance? And 83% said yes, 11% said no, and 4% were unsure. And then the second question is, has advertisement ever made you feel bad about your physique? And 70% said yes, 30% said no.
And then For the question, what percentage of women pictured on television are skinnier than the average woman? Not many people really knew the correct answer. While 55.65% of people thought it was 79% of women pictured in television, the real answer is in fact 94%.
And one of the questions we asked mentioned, would you ever want to get anything changed physically? And about an estimated 83.51 people who answered the survey would plan or think about getting plastic surgery in the future.
And after we conducted the survey, we made flyers to raise awareness around campus. So mine had some of the statistics from the questions that weren't up there about, let's see, you can kind of read it. According to the survey conducted here at LMU, 81 out of 100 college students wished that they could change something about their physique. And 69 out of 100 college students claimed that the media made them feel uncomfortable in their own skin. And
I had made a flyer that had also asked the same question that I had restated to you guys.
Mine reads the title, Be Who You Are, Love Who You Are. It says women over the age of 50 are going under the knife more often. They're unhappy with how they look and turn to Botox and like live young again. In the last decade, there has been a growth of 77% in cosmetic procedures. And many times these operations can lead to a negative reaction. It has a woman with an inflated face and then another one getting injected.
so I have a quote that I'm going to read. People are like stained glass windows. They sparkle and shine when the sun is out, but when darkness sets in, their true beauty is revealed only if there is light from within. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. And people often get caught up with the physical attractiveness of themselves when they should be focusing on the attributes that come from within. You can be the most attractive person on this planet, yet have an unkind heart that leads people to regard you as unpleasant to be around. So don't let the media dictate who you are and who you aspire to be, because your uniqueness is what sets you apart from the crowd and what makes you beautiful in your own way.
Great.